there's a really interesting thing happening here, which is the big opportunities for entrepreneurs and small businesses and private equity owned brands is the biggest brands in the world are missing the mark. And in that is the opportunity and the arbitrage for the competitors.
What are 3 things that a business owner should be doing for their marketing in 2023?
Organic social content, specifically on TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels. Really thinking about starting to learn how to use AI, really prompt engineering, which means what do you enter into all these AI apps to get good output? So starting the journey, don't be crippled by what I just said. I know that sounds complicated, but this would be it would be like me saying, get on the internet or start a Twitter account in 2006 for Twitter or 1999, 7 for the internet. I don't need you to be an AI expert, but I definitely don't need you to put your head in the sand and not have ever touched an AI tool like Midjourney, or even Bing has a really easy plugin to make creative from it. So that's number 2. And then number 3, doing what you're doing right now. Every business needs to have a core platform, a show, a podcast, a go-to social media series. So, everyone now is in the business of being a media company, and then they happen to do something. Of course, the quality of what comes out of your mouth is a variable of your success. But before you even start the debate of what do you say, or what are you talking about, or how are you doing this, the data is undeniable that the companies and humans in service businesses that are outposting its competitive set are picking up market share by the simple fact of there's just too much attention of society on these 7 to 10 platforms. There are people in this room that will do one video of here's a fun fact of the opportunities in mortgages, post that on Instagram Reels and TikTok, and with no followers. You do not have an account yet, and it's your 7th video, and one video like that may go viral and lead to more leads for you in a 24-hour window than you would get the entire year.
How should a business owner capitalize on their best performing video after it has performed well?
You should take that video and run ads against target audiences. Because the algorithm, aka the human beings, everyone's like, Mark Zuckerberg, China, it's humans responding to These platforms are very simple. They just want people to stay on it for as long as possible so they can run ads. So they're not like Zucks isn't pushing propaganda of you loving VR. They're just math. And so for you, that mocktail should be turned into an ad. It's giving people awareness to your brand. It might not be sales oriented. You might run $1,000 against it and get no sales, and you'll be like, Gary. But meanwhile, what I know is that you did get sales, you can't attribute it to it. So now people feel fond towards you. 3 weeks later, they decide to buy it. They just go to the website because they know who you are, but you can't point to the ad and you're like, the ad didn't work. Well, the ad's definitely going to work because it already went viral. People are interested. I'm incredibly bullish on everybody here running ads after it succeeded on organic. That's something that we haven't lived in for a long time because it's not how the platforms worked. So we have it way better than we did the last 10 years. Right now, in 2023, as we sit here in this room, there is no second option compared to the truth that is, if you sit in here and are capable of producing 15 to 25 pieces of content a day across 4 to 5 platforms a day, that the business ambitions you have will come true. The problem is, the reason most people don't produce 15 to 25 pieces of content a day is not because you have no time. If you understood that it was the single biggest reason that you would make more money, you would find time. If you understood that you would 4, 5, 10, 15, 100x your revenue or your sales or your commissions, the dollars in your bank account, you would find 2 hours a day to do it instead of having a 2-hour meeting. You would find it.
How should someone who currently edits for a creative team and has been producing short films since 2014 go independent and find clients where they can be involved in more of the creative process with scripting, ideation, storytelling, and more?
Post 3 times a day on LinkedIn all of your films. If you made a film since 2014, you've got 10 films, 8 films, 9 films, whatever the math is, you should probably post 50 times about each film and break it down. The thinking, the creativity, why you shot it this way. You have like a year's worth of content just posting about your thinking of this film. One LinkedIn post goes viral on the way you thought about the human condition around patience, and this is why you did it, or the human or why brands aren't doing, like, it could be anything. Could be the single leader to changing the course of your career. People want to consume your craft. If you're not talking, you know what it is, right? Like, you just gotta actually go there. But for you specifically, the amount of jobs being created and opportunities and career changes being created on LinkedIn by one single LinkedIn post is profound. If you're like, let me tell you, if you write 4 paragraphs on, let me tell you how I thought about the storytelling of this film, and then put hashtag advertising, marketing, creative, strategy. But again, back to patience, like, it might be your 119th post that delivers on the promise I just created. And 99% of people will quit after 26.
What is the best balance for using both organic and paid reach for social media platforms in 2023?
In today's algorithm-based world, I think it needs to be great. You need to be great at organic, and when things go viral or over-index, you turn them into paid. That is the new model, in my opinion, in iOS 14.5, and things changed. Cookieing and privacy eliminated a lot of the values of paid the way we knew it for a decade. And then organic got way more important because algorithms now give you 1 million organic views if you put out a good video. And so, the reality is, for me, it's strategic organic content. And then when things work, turning them into paid ads. Brand performance is how I think about it.
How should a business that is making serious content compete for attention with content creators who can make content for larger audiences like Mr. Beast?
I think we get fixated on things. Like, there's an enormous amount of properties, companies, entities that are doing extremely well with serious content. I think we get infatuated with the shiny star. You're not competing for the same audience that Mr. Beast is. Just like if I turned on Netflix right now, there's gonna be serious and drama and sports and funny. And there's plenty of people that are genuinely interested. And, I think you look at Nat Geo, you look at the Lincoln Project in the US, which talks about politics. This isn't that you're in trouble because nobody wants it. This is, are we actually good at creative strategy and distribution in a modern world that is predominantly based on this? And even the TVs now, the technology of these is the logic of the Rokus and Netflix and the Hulus and all these streaming services are far more similar to the social platforms. So good news, like, serious content is crushing. It's that a lot of organizations that tend to go more serious and more thoughtful genres tend to be more conservative with their learnings on how to make their content work. So, I think you look at documentaries that are doing extremely well in marketing and social. Vice, when it's doing its job correctly, does this well. You can win this game. You just have to actually know how to make creative for the distribution that now has the attention of society, which is social and streaming services.
A business owner claimed to Gary Vee that when they post too much content, their average reach per post would decrease. Does this mean that we should post less for a higher average engagement per post?
One of the things that people make a mistake on is they're like, oh, I'm getting 700 views per post now. When I was doing 5 days a week, I was doing 500 posts. And I'm like, right, but one is 2,500 views and one's 2,100 views if you go 3 times 7 versus 5 times 5. So just do a quick look on what happened with net. The other thing is, what I really want for all of you is to get to the content that does well to inform your content going forward. So I'm less worried about how well each individual piece goes for all of you. I want you to take more at-bats to be better at it. So right now what's happening is too many people are trying to be cute and like higher quality, less quantity, because deep down, because it's easier. Because it's work, it's hard. You got other things, I get it. I'm not judging, but I'm trying to tell everybody, you're all trying to get better at tennis. And if you practice 5 days a week instead of 3 days a week, you'll be better at tennis in 24 months. One of the things I'm concerned about is when people go with that model is they're not doing enough pieces of content to figure out the thing that's gonna work. If I wasn't posting as often, I don't know if I would have gotten into a lot of the content I got into because I wouldn't have the feedback loop from all the content.
How should a business owner who wants to become the mascot of their own brand in order to get more business gain traction?
You can go about it a bunch of different ways. Couple things. One, if I'm you're trying to put like one thing that's amazing for me is I live my life and content comes from it. Like I'm not really a content producer. It's why I could be 4 times bigger on TikTok if I was a full-time content producer. TikTok's such a specific platform where I can't get away with the shit I got away with on Instagram and Facebook where it's just the videos. You gotta kind of do it, and I don't have that time. This is what I do for a living. But you can absolutely build up a couple ways. One, going on small podcasts to interview you is a killer. It will crush. Like, because you're just doing it anyway, and then you're just post-producing from the content. You need somebody who can do design and video. That could be 1 and or 2 people, right? You need somebody who really cares to know a little bit about the platforms. Like, you really need to know, and look, everything I'm about to say could be 5 people, it could be 1 person. It's hard to find one supernova, but to win in this game, you have to produce it, so you have to make it. Film, post-produce it, make the images, right? So Photoshop or Final Cut, right? Like, you need someone who understands the platforms, the platform strategy, like knowing that green screens work or posting 3 times a day. Or like, today, Dustin, you know this, in our thread, someone on the team said, Gary, we're testing, using the word quit versus the word stop is making your content do way better. We call this the S in SOC, strategic organic content. So good news, the best part about starting now versus 3 years ago, organic content's back. You're 1 TikTok away, 1 Instagram away, right? So, 3 years ago, it was hard. You had to build followers and be like, fuck, that's a grind. You had to pay ads. Now your content can be seen and can explode on 1 post. Harder. I was yelling and screaming about TikTok 4 years ago. Now it's supply and demand. It's harder, but YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels is incredible. YouTube Shorts,